won't talk about wetin dey happen for government. We go hear where government thief this one, government do that one. Nobody they call anybody to order. We go call that one, say impunity, bad things go happen, punishment not they follow. People say na wetin make corruption don't even take different dimension, enter animal kingdom. When we say snake and monkey say follow, they chop money. Maoga, yeah, happy Rabbi say you join us for Saturday this morning, Oga Raymond.
Thank you.
Make we discuss this our matter of impunity for government, because basically what we want to talk about, we say how we fit even contain them. We know something we say fit disappear within 2 years or 10 years, but how we fit manage them?
Okay, I'm very happy to be here. So the issue of impunity or abuse of public office for private benefit, as the case may be, is just about talking about corruption, right? I want to first of all establish that it's not a peculiar issue. It's a global issue that is happening everywhere in the world. So it's not something that you narrow it down to say it's particular for this nation, for this tribe, and all those stuff. It's not about an individual. It's a global issue. But one thing about it is that when people are given mandates, when power is entrusted in people, there are some ideologies that gets to, and I'm going to talk about that in a bit. First thing is that the reality is that this topic of impunity has been written about, it's been widely discussed, it's been debated upon, it's been argued about, and finally, I think it's now been taken for granted. So it's like a norm. It's become like a norm. So if somebody is not corrupt, if somebody is not embezzling funds, if somebody is not abusing power, the person is seen to be a very stupid person. And that comes from these thoughts that if you are poor, you are stupid. If you are not corrupt, you are stupid. If you have access to a very a position of authority and you are not making good use of it, in quote, you are stupid. So there is now this heightened case of invisible competition among public office holders. So you see a situation where, so I saw a quote somewhere that said that corruption is a higher form of competition. So where it appears that people that have been given mandates seem to be engaging in some form of competition amongst themselves. In the case, in the sense that no other person matters. It's not about anybody. It's about us who have been given these public offices. And there is now this battle to win. Everybody wants to win. So whatever opportunity that you have, you find in your space, you just want to make excessive use of it because it's no longer about the people. It's about us that have been given mandates to be in this position. So how do we use this so that we win? Because if you want to look at it in the first place, how much can somebody actually spend to eat, to get basic needs? You want to get a car, you can only drive one car at a time. You want to get a house, you can only sleep on one bed at a time. You want to eat food, how much can you eat? So you see a lot of people that have a lot of money that is not doing anything. So it's not really about, the people outside. It's about some form of ideology somewhere that is just making them to accumulate more, even if I don't want to do anything with it, but let it just be that.
So back to the original question of how do we curb it? So
two things I always think about is that, first of all, is that we need to start enforcing laws. There has to be consequences for action. I strongly believe that all over the world, one of the major ways to really curb excesses is that you have to put consequences to actions, right? And it's not just about bad, negative issues, but also about the good issues. If there are strict consequences, so it's no longer going to be about tribe. It's not going to be about you are black, you are white, you are from this place and all that. It's about you defaulting and an outright action is being taken immediately. In other hand, also, if there is somebody does good, there also has to be an outright reward, irrespective of the tribe, right? So there has to be enforcement of laws. I think that the legal systems are very weak. There are a lot of massive laws that are guiding against all these things, but the enforcement, we've not seen somebody that has been caught like this to say, and like to make somebody a scapegoat for these same things that they are defaulting about. If there has to be consequences for actions and it is strictly followed, I think that it starts sending a lot of signals. Okay. Secondly, is that the people need to start demanding for accountability. Because when you give somebody when you trust power on somebody to say, you need to speak for us, you need to take care of, and you need to help us navigate through challenges, and you don't get back to the person to find out, this was where we started, you have this time frame to achieve this, how far have we gone? Are there some form of monitoring and evaluation system that ensures that what was said at the beginning is what is being done, and you can now make a projection if it can be achieved, if there are consequences for action, if there are accountability, strong accountability. So it's no longer time where you get to somebody, the person wants to entice you. No, it's not about giving me a gift. It's about a goal that has been set. Okay. If the roads are bad, why are the roads not set within a time frame?
All right.
Yeah.
Maybe we look the correlation between, or rather the relationship between the first and the second one. We say you talk. You don't talk about the fact that the legal system, they are laws, they're weak. Or rather, legal justice system, they're weak to bring these people to book. Laws as well, not too strong, you know, to say they won't fight corruption. Maybe we go back to people who then they set these laws for Nigeria. We don't ask ourselves that question several times, say, who they check people when they Senate to start with? You know, say for Senate, themselves, they carry their own for body. Yeah. You get money when we say overtime and not account for. Their own sharing formula not be here. Nigerians don't shout, say, cut cost of governance, cut cost of governance. Nobody they hear. Person say, who won't come out honey? When they put inside person mouth. Now the senators, when they enjoy, now then when they can't set the law. So when are they rich? Like when are they small? Are they say who created man? God. I can't ask myself, say, who can create God? You get where I go rich, I don't fit think past like that. So make we look this matter now. If the senator be saying that they're supposed to set the law, when go help to curb this impunity, they themselves, you know, they benefit from waiting they happen. How we won't begin to address the issue? So
I think that the thing is that, first of all, is that all the people, especially young people, need to start, because young people make up over 60% of the population. So, and now, whatever decisions that are being taken at the top trickles down and affects literally everything that young people do. So first thing first is that young people need to start getting into those spaces to really start fixing. Because you can't control something you are not. Get into those spaces how? Let me
ask that question, because of even the second thing when you talk, say, now we're supposed to hold certain leaders accountable, right? Say if person they elect you, not do what you're supposed to do, you're supposed to question. NSAS, a very popular protest, so we say happen in our time. The whole world never experienced that kind of thing for Nigeria, where young people sit down. Their protests and call, you know, demand for transparency. They're waiting to meet now, brutal force, now they meet. Lives were lost. Government still never own up onto this kind of matter. So when you look at that kind of way, corruption, of course, they bring about people they get illegal wealth. Illegal wealth, they lead to waiting power. When we say certain parastatals, you get them for your control. Then you get masses when we say they can't elect you into power. We're supposed to look you for either you say, oh God, now me vote for you today. What you they do for me? Now you don't already get that kind of power to shut down people when put you for power. So make we understand in reality, how can that be possible, really?
So I'm glad you mentioned about the NSAS. The NSAS is, I learned a lot of lessons from the NSAS. One of the strongest lessons I learned from the NSAS protest is actually how it is very possible for young people to come together without any external influence. So for the period that it lasted, you could see unity. You could see people that are joined. I mean, for the very first time since I was born, it never mattered where you are from. It never mattered your religion. It never mattered your tribe.
So we did that, but it had been stifled now. That the issue when they did. Yes, everybody understand everything when we say, NSAS show say, things that we feel say they're impossible, they're possible. Everybody come on that one voice, but to what end?
So when you talk about to what end, things that will actually affect, change doesn't just happen like this, right? Change is like a silent noise. You can't just hear one blast and say, change has occurred. It has to happen gradually, right? So the good thing is that we have seen a signal that something is possible. Now, it's now about, okay, are there strategies, are there alternative ways of still fighting, of still effecting change, of still influencing change without necessarily using whatever strategies that was used? But let me tell you, for an instance, you see, when change happens, the best way to take advantage of it is not to run away from it. So the thing is that you have to find a way to position yourself in such a way that you can come up with your superior knowledge. That was why I said that young people, people that feel like that, we know that the system is bad, but you can't change the system you are not part of, right? So what it means is that there is a change you want to influence. You have to now start finding a way to get into this space. I know somebody who works in a very, very big public in a very, she got an appointment with government. And one of the days, a very big person, she was sharing with me how it's so crazy to be in this space, right? Because you get to see how they talk about, corrupt activities openly without anything.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, they are trying to look at her, what she has to say. She'll be like, I am not in support. All of you already know that I am not in support of this thing. Whatever thing you are doing, it's not. So it made that at some point, they can't remove her, but she had a very strong influence because at this point, some of them are beginning to come to her to seek advice on what they want to do. So what you said, the only way this can change is by not running away from it. Okay. Can we start saying no to gratification? I mean, how can you start looking yourself in the looking at a public office holder in the face, and they want to give you probably an iPhone, for instance, and you want to find out why are you giving
so in this
iPhone?
case now we said the responsibility can't lie on the individual, moral standing to look corruption in the face, say I know what, because we not get institutions when go call anybody to order.
Exactly.
So make everybody begin to live by their own church mind now.
Exactly.
But how strong that one be? Because human beings, they frail. You understand? Economy tough. Yeah. As if you hear today say if you carry fuel enter 200 naira, person don't sit down to say their landlord don't they look at for I say this your 1 million when they pay, you go enter 1.5. How much minimum wage when they on ground? Now the person come manage enter inside system as you don't talk. He get good mind though. You understand? They won't really do things, make things correct. Or even say, okay, make I even join political party, make we even form our political party as people they talk today. Although we never see where any youth them don't form anyone. 2023, just there our backyard here. You understand? As you can't enter these big wigs, they will be saying they don't already sit down on top of the system, carry money, just blast you that kind 40 million, my brother.
Now, let me tell you, I mean, I believe we are all human beings, right? But again, there is no limit to which people can achieve when they are united, right? I mean, the COVID-19 period and the whole digital transformation thing has shown that money is just the paper, right? Now, that also brings me to one of the things that people need to start doing, to look at these people in the face to say, I don't bloody care about your money. And what is that? I think people need to start learning how to build their own personal infrastructure. And what do I mean by that? You have seen that you need to stop. I mean, we have waited for so many years for government to do a lot of things for us. Now they are not doing it. So how do you start providing some of the basic things without really waiting for somebody that will come from Abuja or come from wherever the person is to come and give you a bag of onions? How do you look at your skills? How do you really start providing some of the things that you want for yourself? Now, for young people, I want to say, how do you start honing your skills such a way that you can, because if you can make, if you can start deploying your skills to get money for your basic needs, you won't have any time to actually meet people. Okay, for instance, just within this period of cryptocurrency and all that, you can imagine, I made a post on my timeline, and I was saying that, first of all, is that government is not stupid. They know what they are doing. But again, is that they are beginning to find out that people no longer depend on them to come and fulfill their promises. Exactly. When a politician comes back to the homeland, you find out that young people are taking care of themselves without caring about the kind of car you drove. So they're beginning to build their own infrastructure. They're beginning to, if they don't have light in their places, people go buy inverters for themselves and they don't bloody care about you. You live in your house and then you have the dogs.
So if you say this ban on this cryptocurrency, and like to stifle that, to bring people back to cap in hand.
So there are a lot of things, because again, you are going to find a lot of ideologies and all that. People talk about they want to regulate against terrorism and a lot of things. But I'm just trying to say, from my own personal perspective, that these are times where people are beginning to become aware of their superpower, of the things they can do for themselves without anybody helping them, right? And what it means is that if somebody was actually waiting for me to come and beg him for probably money for data or money for school fees, suddenly I'm beginning to write probably some form of concept notes for somebody who is willing to pay me money to take care of it. So I won't have business to come to you again. So if before I have to, I must come and wash your car for you to help me with my school fees, now I can do it right in the middle of my house without having to come to see you. So it's really about are young people going out there, first of all, because there are massive opportunities. How do you take care of these opportunities in the digital economy so that you can build your own personal infrastructure for yourself? Because it is very possible. Hoping that, of course, you know, politicians or government doesn't also recognize that, you know, and try to stop it as well. Because if you talk about some person sitting down, they build your own personal infrastructure, you know, they build them for inside vacuum. The resources we say you need to do what you do also still they're very reliant on government policies and what's the economy they talk. No, when I say personal infrastructure, I'm talking about, you know, tapping into the digital economy. My point is like people don't tap into one, but we don't understand, say with one policy from government, things don't change overnight. Now, the point they talk right now, I mean, you don't already give example of this issue of this cryptocurrency matter. I mean, it was thriving. Everybody, they do their own thing, they go. As a day now, that fear already they palpable inside the system. Many reasons and ideologies don't come behind why you feel say government, they do it, then they do. Yeah. People say that they trade inside that space as well, don't already they affected. Yeah. And they see Twitter, person talks, say this to show you, say, last, the power not today your hand. You know, you get your own trajectory, they do what you they do. One policy, fee just change things for either the better or for worse. Yeah, again, this is also why the larger majority, which is young people, need to start getting into that space.